Predators always need prey. Now they're running America. This is our daily take for the day. Hundreds of people died yesterday across Europe from the heat. They're a symptom of a larger problem that governments around the world have failed to address that goes far beyond simply global warming, and that the Trump regime is making far worse. Its foundation is one of the most troubling aspects of human nature called predation. While most people just want to live their lives, raise their kids, and have a comfortable old age, some small percentage of those among us have simply become, for lack of a better word, predators. In nature, there are natural predators and natural prey. Foxes and rabbits are the classic example. Rabbits, like most prey animals, have wired into them by evolution a response called tonic immobility. We used to think that when a rabbit or mouse was seized by a fox or eagle and went limp, that they were plain dead. We called it thanatosis. But in fact, we know now that their body is suddenly flooded with hormones, chemicals, and nervous reactions that essentially put them into a coma to either or both fool the predator or avoid experiencing the pain of being torn to pieces. Predator animals, including humans, also have this instinct or mechanism. We see it when people faint from fright or are paralyzed by PTSD. But it's far less frequently activated in predatory animals, particularly social animals like apes and humans, largely because we invent social systems to discourage predation. Among modern humans, according to psychology, predation against other humans is a form of psychopathy, twisting the predator instinct our species once used to hunt food, instead against others of our own kind, whether it be via physical or sexual violence or via theft and fraud. As Thomas Jefferson wrote to his dear old friend and advisor, Edward Carrington, on January 16th, 1787, quote, "If once they become inattentive to the public affairs, you and I and Congress and assemblies, judges and governors, shall all become wolves. It seems to be the law of our general nature, in spite of individual exceptions, and experience declares that man is the only animal which devours his own kind, for I can apply no milder term to the governments of Europe and to the general prey of the rich on the poor." End of quote. To prevent this psychopathic predation within our societies is why we created governments. I'm reminded of the years Louise and I spent living in Europe, where the landscape is dotted with castles and walled cities built not to defend against wolves and bears, but against other humans. It's been this way for millennia. The castles and walled cities of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East were designed to keep out invading human predators, be they the Huns, Vikings, Ottomans, or Crusaders. Modern cities, as technology improved, developed the equivalent of walls to keep the predators out, airborne missile defense systems and the like. But the problem we Americans now face, one that citizens of modern nations have faced in various parts of the world for centuries, is that our government, seized and then run by psychopathic predators, has become predatory itself rather than protective. For example, J.D. Vance, who once wrote proudly about how when his father left the family and his mother was stealing drugs from the nursing home where she worked, he and his sister existed on food stamps, SNAP benefits. And he's now, quote, actively working to strip American children who were just like him of their SNAP benefits. And now our federal government is hand-delivering notices that, quote, "you may have violated federal law," end quote, to people who've criticized ICE murdering American citizens in Minneapolis. That is what's happening today in America with the Trump family, Republican politicians, massive monopolistic corporations, and the Epstein oligarch class extracting billions from us at the same time they threaten us when we protest. The top headline in yesterday's online edition of the New York Times, for example, was, quote, "Trump cut $1 billion mining deal. His sons stand to profit," end quote. Predation has become the new American business model as well. Everything, it seems, is a hustle designed to prey on us. We pay a fee for our car to open remotely or have navigation, to use a word processing or other necessary program, or must surrender all of our private information simply to have a laptop operating system function properly, even though we paid thousands for the hardware. But as much of a problem as corporate predation has become, largely through the GOP's Reaganism, neoliberalism, and Clinton's third-way deregulation, the biggest danger is government predation because, unlike Microsoft or Apple or a car company, which can each just hustle a few bucks from us every month, government has the power to take all of our money and even our freedom and lock us up. And even as Alex Preddy and Renee Good's families learned, kill us with impunity. This is where America stands today. The Trump regime and those states controlled by Republicans more generally, which, by the way, are among the almost universally the poorest with the highest rates of illiteracy, poverty, STDs, unwanted pregnancies, murder, rape, and other violent crimes, have turned predatory. They are using the weapons of theft and violence, which our government holds legally, against us citizens when we protest their modern forms of predation, their corruption, ICE violence, encouragement of predatory corporate behavior, and general rigging of the system to the benefit of the Epstein billionaire class and the politicians it owns. Now we find that even people protesting against ICE and other Trump regime abuses are being arrested and sentenced to decades in prison. People posting about these outrages are being visited by DHS to intimidate them. And the Trump regime promises to rig the upcoming elections. It's a problem as ancient as our government itself. As Jefferson also wrote in that same letter to former Continental Congress member Edward Carrington, quote, "I am persuaded myself that the good sense of the people will always be found to be the best army. They may be led astray for a moment, but will soon correct themselves. The people are the only censors of their governors, and even their errors will tend to keep these to the true principles of their institution. To punish these errors too severely would be to suppress the only safeguard of the public liberty. The way to prevent these irregular interpositions of the people is to give them full information of their affairs through the channel of the public papers, and to contrive that those papers should penetrate the whole mass of the people. The basis of our governments being the opinion of the people, the very first object should be to keep that right. And were it left to me to decide whether we should have a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, I should not hesitate a moment to prefer the latter." End of quote. This is why the acquisition and control of our news and social media sites by morbidly rich Epstein billionaire class predators, whose first loyalty is to their peers rather than democracy, is so dangerous to both our republic, the poor, and what's left of our middle class. It's why Trump taking hundreds of millions from the fossil fuel and other industries and then either ignoring their lies and their poisoning our planet or their theft from us via banking and insurance predation is so destructive of both faith in government and life itself. It's why the 50-year-long project funded by American oligarchs to pack our courts, particularly the Supreme Court, with toadies and ideologues to build right-wing media empires, to seize control of our universities and public schools, has done such violence to our society, be it in school massacres, women dying because doctors are afraid to provide life-saving reproductive care, or working families watching their children inherit a nation with fewer rights, fewer opportunities, and a planet pushed ever closer to ecological collapse. So what do? I agree, as have generations of Americans, with Jefferson's comment that, quote, "The good sense of the people will always be found to be the best army. They may be led astray for a moment, but will soon correct themselves," end quote. We must, in other words, do everything we can to stop, block, and even prosecute the predators among us who've seized outsized control of both our government and our economy. To take on the fossil fuel industry and the Republicans who continue to both defend and subsidize it and its executives, who should be investigated for their decades of lies about global warming that are today literally killing thousands around the planet every day. To rebuild the New Deal and Great Society programs that neoliberals in both parties have been tearing apart for 45 years. To replace the predators in the insurance and banking industries with a Medicare for All style national health care program and free or affordable higher education like my parents' generation enjoyed. Public opinion polling and recent elections show that Americans are waking up. Our work, our obligation as both citizens and decent human beings, is to assist and speed along that process by speaking out. We must demand better of our elected representatives. Work to strip our electoral system of the dark and billionaire money 5 corrupt Republicans on the Supreme Court authorized in Citizens United. Strengthen the right to unionize while raising the minimum wage. Rebuild a green, electrified America. End the cap on Social Security taxes, and assist the growing progressive movement within the Democratic Party. So, tag, we're it.